Wow, welcome to Town Hall on this freezing night. Welcome all. We have a wonderful, fairly brief program tonight that's deep in significance because we're doing some swearings in of elected officials and we're taking stock of where we are as a town and committing ourselves to the year to come. So thank you for coming out. There are copies of the agenda actually up here, and I don't know how many people got those.
Watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. We're very lucky to have Danny Costello here tonight to sing God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Hello, my name is Danny Costello. I am a freshman at St. Joseph Regional High School. In the last 2 weeks of January, I will be in the production of Fiddler on the Roof, and you guys are all welcome to come see it.
The meeting tonight, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Danny. Includes some presentations like this to remind us of why we're here, essentially, in various ways, as well as some business the town board needs to conduct of more or less formalities for the beginning of the year. We're happy to once again have Msgr O'Keefe back to start us off in a good way this year with an invocation. We're also looking forward to Rabbi Pernick's arrival. He's not here yet unless he slipped in without me seeing him. He'll be here soon to offer a benediction. Then we will have the swearing in of newly elected officials. Thanks for that. So without further ado, I invite Msgr Jack O'Keefe from St. Margaret's Church to address the audience. Thanks.
Let us bow our heads and pray. Our Father and our God, as we stand at the beginning of a new year, we confess our need for your presence and your guidance as we face the future. We each have our own hopes and expectations for the year that is ahead of us, but you alone know what it holds for us, and only you can give us the strength and wisdom we will need to meet its challenges. So humbly we pray that you help us and put ourselves in your hands so that we might trust you and seek your will for our lives in 2014. In the midst of life's inevitable disappointments, help us to turn to you for the stability and comfort we need. In the midst of life's uncertainties in the days ahead, assure us of the certainty of your unchanging love. In the midst of life's temptations and the pull of our own stubborn self-will, help us not to lose our way, but to have courage to do what is right in your sight, regardless of the cost. And in the midst of our daily preoccupations and pursuits, open our eyes to the sorrows and injustices of our hurting world, and help us to respond with compassion and sacrifice to those who are friendless and in need. We pray for our nation and its leaders during these challenging times, and for all those who seek justice and peace in our troubled world. We especially pray for all those who serve in our armed forces, and we thank you for their commitment to defend our freedoms, even at the cost of their own lives. Be with their families also and assure them of your love and your concern for them. Bring our nation together and give us a greater vision of what you want us to be. Console and strengthen all who have suffered in any way this past year, especially those who have faced financial difficulties, a challenging illness, or the death of loved ones. As we look back over the past year, we thank you for your goodness towards us beyond what we truly deserve. May we never presume on past blessings or forget your mercies toward us, but may they instead lead us to repentance of our sins of 2013 and bring us to a deeper commitment to you as the foundation and center of our lives. Heavenly Father, we sincerely thank you for the promise and hope of this new year, and we look forward to it with expectancy and faith. Amen.
With that statement in mind, it certainly dignifies this meeting and puts us in the right frame of mind for the seriousness of our work together. I invite the Honorable Judge Loftus to come forward and help us swear in our newly elected officials, and then we'll move on from there. It just so happens that I'm the first one. Thanks for helping out.
I want to thank the town board for inviting me this evening to administer the oath. It is a great honor. And we will begin, without further ado, with Supervisor Stewart. I'm going to read it the first time.
We get it right.
Okay. Left hand on the Bible, raise your right. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Supervisor for the town of Orangetown.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Supervisor of the town of Orangetown.
Thank you.
That was a long sentence. Now, one of the responsibilities of the supervisor is to say a thing or two about sort of the state of the town and the arc of some of the issues that we're working on and our goals. I'm going to briefly run through that. It'll take a minute or two, so bear with me. And then we'll hear from the other members of the elected officials and go on to the town council. So let me just once again say good evening. Welcome to Town Hall. Happy New Year. Thanks for braving the cold, the polar vortex to join us for this important event. And thank you for coming, and also to the folks who have helped out with these presentations in the beginning. Mary White, Monsignor O'Keefe, Rabbi Pernick when he gets here, Danny Costello for singing, and we're going to have an introduction of Josephine Pucci a little later on, who's a U.S. Olympic hockey player. Going to be playing in Sochi, Russia, in just a month. So it's exciting. We've got some great presentations and some wonderful people here, representative, I think, of the values that we stand for. So why are we here? We're here to reaffirm our commitment to public service as elected officials. We're here because we believe in local government and democracy, and especially because we're heavily invested in Orangetown as residents, as property owners, as business owners, as parents, and as town employees and civic leaders. I'm looking around the room, seeing a lot of you here. So I and the rest of the town board, we do work for you, and we thank you for coming out tonight. I want to recognize some folks, not a long list, but we do have representatives here from Congresswoman Nita Lowy, from Ellen Jaffe, our wonderful state assembly person, from Senator Carlucci, and it's great that they sent the representatives. And there's other people here as well. If we went down the rows, every person here has a story. Our police chief just showed up back here. We're an important group of people, and we have important work to do, and this meeting sets the tone for the year. One of the people I want to thank here is just the folks who set up this little camera system here, our IT team, Anthony and Matt, and a hello also to folks who might be watching on TV right now out there in sort of broadcast land. Having better television equipment was one of the goals for 2013. It's gratifying to see the new system at work, and thanks to the great collaboration between the IT team, between David Chilson, a volunteer who helped build our new system, his son Daniel at Tappan High School, who volunteers to film our town meetings. They can't be here tonight, but they're helping out earlier today. This is the kind of work we do, and this is one of the achievements. You know, there are many, many like this during the year that I'd love to be able to tell you all about. We do now have the capacity to broadcast pre-taped content, which means we can put public service programming like fire safety, drug awareness. We can rebroadcast the county legislature's meeting in our own and so on. So that adds capacity, it increases public access, and it serves the needs of the town. So that's a good thing, and it's the kind of thing that we should be doing. Finally, I just want to recognize and thank my children, Jonah and Talia, for coming out tonight, and their grandparents. We've got a bunch of them here. Thank you. The being town supervisor has imposed a high cost on our family in terms of time spent and time lost, family time lost. And my wife Rachel can't be here tonight. She's actually in the middle of the polar vortex in Madison, Wisconsin, which is kind of an extraordinary experience at I don't know what it is, 20 below or something like that. But it's great to have you here, and thank you. And rest assured, I will not be supervisor forever. So enjoy the lack of supervision while you have it, and we'll be back. In the next few minutes, I want to say a bit or two about our goals for 2014, and then I will most gladly yield to my colleagues on the board and listen to their goals, which many of which are similar, and I think I speak in some ways for all of us as I go through a couple of paragraphs here. But our goals, and specifically for my members of the town board here, Denis, Tom, Paul, and Tom, like my own goals, theirs derive essentially from our collective responsibility to our diverse community and based on what our understanding is of what the needs of the government are going forward. Its departments, its staff, its capital needs, buildings and facilities, and so on. And that working together is what we need to do in order to succeed. I value the perspectives of the members of the town board. I pledge myself and my labor as the one full-time member of this board to work every day to carry out our shared agenda. And in its essential terms, I want to talk a little bit what I think are the 5 major points of our shared agenda. And I'll make a note or two here and there of some examples. But first and foremost, it's balance the budget. And what does that mean? It means preserve vital services and stay under the tax cap. And how we do that each year is a creative process. It involves debate, it involves disagreement, it involves coming together around a budget. And we always need to look for new ways of doing it. For example, next week we'll vote on a proposal to change the management of Broadacres Golf Course for using Applied Golf as a contractor, saving us potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars over 3 years. And the thing about it that's creative and that came out of the town board's research on the golf deficit and trying to find solutions to that and ideas from the town board to have a request for proposals is that we can keep it open. we can save money, and we can bind ourselves only to a 2 to 3 year contract. So the redevelopment of Rockland Psych, which needs to happen, we'll talk about that a little later, can happen and is not constrained by that, but in fact is helped by it. So those are the kinds of ideas we need to keep looking for, and that I want to congratulate the members of our board and our town staff for working on that proposal, and hopefully we'll pull it together and it will lead to a great season at Broadacres. Second, after it balanced the budget, the second theme I think we all share is grow the tax base. That is foster economic development, such as our successes with the Bloomberg Data Center, with Orangeburg Commons and the Stop and Shop, the new hotel that's opening up down there, Ceravine, which is a pharmaceutical company, just moved into the corporate park, and so on, and smaller things, businesses like the Andean Brewing Company in Blauvelt, one of my favorites. These businesses help to keep our taxes under control, and they bring services and jobs that we need. Pfizer and, of course, the Rockland Psych Center are our two biggest economic development issues and opportunities. Pfizer is something that we support, but it's really the leadership of the Pfizer folks getting that done. And then Rockland Psych is our baby, and that's what we work on every day, and we'll have more to say about that. Third, another principle, if we balance the budget and we grow the tax base, the third basic principle I think we all share is essentially preserve Orangetown. And what I put under that is preserving and protecting, beginning with the fundamentals of our zoning philosophy, our control over land use and the kind of development we'd like to see. And from that grows our quality of life and making Orangetown a great place to live in so many ways. Having a strong and independent land use boards, having good legal team downstairs in Town Hall here, protecting us, having and fostering an alert and engaged citizenry, which is what you are here tonight and which we see every Tuesday when we have town board meetings. These are the hallmarks of preserving Orangetown, keeping it the way we love it, and maintaining the best aspects while trying to move ahead on some improvements here and there. We are against overdevelopment. We value our small town lifestyle, and then back just for a minute to the land use boards, we do have a vacancy here and there. I think there's one on the Architectural Review Board, so if you're interested or you know folks who are interested in serving on those, they are an important part of the town government. A fourth example or kind of paradigm for what we do is essentially help people. Let's not forget that one. That's what we're here for. From serious crimes to potholes, dog licenses, people making big business investments, people just putting a deck on their house. People come to Town Hall to get help, and it's our job to help them get what they need as quickly as possible and assure them that their tax dollars are being put to good use. Our staff is great at this, as are the emergency services groups, not to go unmentioned, who respond to events like Superstorm Sandy and the fires up on Clausland Mountain. It's easiest to help people when people really know who to talk to and can go to the right part of town government to get what they need. And so in that sense, we always need to continue educating the public about what we do, spelling it out, and having people come in. We have town open house, we have highway open house, we've had tours of the sewer treatment plant. We do everything we can, including a website, to let people know where to go to get the help they need. And there are ways that we can move forward with that and improve. Certainly expanding our email blast list further and getting more people signed up for that so they get the storm warnings and they get the important notices. Having a website which moves beyond where we are now, which is a very information-rich website, but it's not really interactive, and there are elements of it where we could enhance people's ability to just automatically take care of business, register for things, pay fees, download forms, and it would save our staff time in taking care of that. So those are things we can move forward with. The fifth and probably most important one in terms of the 5 principles of the agenda that I think we all share is essentially to always be looking for ways of innovating. Because in the course of helping people and pursuing the other goals that I mentioned earlier, the balance, the budget, and so on, and foster economic development, we identify ways that we can do just a little bit better for town residents. And a small example is we started offering recycling in Veterans Park this past summer because someone asked for it, and because Eric Gordon and his staff knew how to set up a system so that the stuff could be collected and it wouldn't just fill up and overflow. And that wasn't a big challenge, but it was something practical that needed doing. And we thank the residents for asking for it. A bigger example of things that we've done that do it just a little better is creating an emergency operations center. Members of the town board, specifically Councilman Diviny, worked on that, and the police and the highway and all of the groups that come together, the fire, the ambulance, the paramedics, and so on. And we now have a room downstairs that can be put up with the computers and ready to respond, in under an hour, so that everybody can be talking with each other and communicating countywide in response to any kind of an emergency. So that's an impressive accomplishment, and it's the kind of thing that we should be doing in terms of innovation. Good stuff. I'm going to advance a little bit here and just say again that I pledge myself to this shared agenda, and I look forward to listening to and supporting my colleagues, the staff, and our community as we work together in very specific and practical ways to keep Orangetown a great place to live, to work, and to play. There's a couple other items I just want to touch on. Rockland Psych, for one, it's our single largest land use issue, and it will define the future of Orangetown. We've made progress on it. I'm not going to go into the details on it, but we did get alienation legislation, which enables us to start looking at having a waterfront park on Lake Tapan, and other work that's been done. It hasn't moved as fast as I'd like it, or to anybody's liking, really, and we need to kind of reevaluate our approach a little bit on that. But we do thank our partners at the state level, Carlucci, Jaffe, Zabrowski, and of course the governor himself and the Empire State Development Corporation for helping to shepherd this project along. But we just need to boost that and fuel that process and try to move it along faster. So we get that request for proposals out, we identify a preferred developer who will come in and help us realize the plan that the town has worked on for many years, and which is documented in our redevelopment plan, which is redevelopment that adds to the tax base, that doesn't burden us with excessive traffic, that is cognizant of what the quality of life in Orangetown is and enhances that. And that's exciting, and that's certainly one of our shared goals for the year to come. I just want to wrap up with a couple other items that I think we need to keep our eye on. One is I will continue to oppose, and I know most people here probably do as well, United Water's draconian rate hikes. They're really extraordinary, and they're connected also, but they're not the same as the proposal for the desalination plant. Both of them are extreme cost increases which we can't afford, and they don't seem to be entirely necessary. So we'll keep working on that, and that happens in league with the other town supervisors, with the support of our town council and of course our lawyers and so on. We'll continue to work with the town supervisors to try to prevent other bad things from happening financially, specifically the pass downs of costs from the county. And it's very exciting to have Ed Day there, and we've spoken, and I'm inviting him to come down and tour Rockland Psych and so on. We definitely need to keep an eye on trying to get the county on its feet and not having the consequences of the financial crisis passed down willy-nilly onto the town. So that goes for costs for elections, costs for community college tuition, the shared police services, which the county always paid for and which now they don't. And ultimately, the towns get a little teeny tiny portion of the county sales tax. In other counties, it's much more generous. Those are the things that we need to look at as the county hopefully moves out of its financial crisis and is able to kind of deal with some of these questions. There's two other items I want to mention. One of them I just want to mention too, and it'll come up over and over, and maybe some people are aware of it. This is a big issue. This is not something that we on the town board could do anything about directly, but we need to talk about it and act on it. And I recently got a letter from Paul Feiner across the river, the Greenberg supervisor, saying, let's get together on this, is the reform of the federal ARLUPA law. And that's the law, the Religious Land Use Institutionalized Persons Act, which essentially, in a nutshell, it gives religious landowners an unfair right to challenge local zoning authority in ways that aren't enjoyed by secular landowners. And in Orangetown, we have a lot of religious land use, and it's very well taken care of and supported and integrated and valued within our current local control over land use and zoning. What we don't need is federal laws telling us how, when, and what to do in this regard. And Greenberg recently lost a settlement that cost them about $6.5 million. I think we do need to band together, and we do need to make changes in the federal law so that we can continue doing our job of promoting the kind of land use that works for this town and not have to worry about the federal government interference. I just want to note that we're going to be seeing in the year to come the construction of the next segment of the rail trail. So right now it comes up and it ends around the Orangeburg Library. You're going to see the piece that goes up to the Blauvelt Library under construction. It's really exciting. It's going to add a lot to the center of our town. That, as well as the Route 303 project, where Erie Street is, and the medians and the trees and the lanes for increased safety, all that's paid for by the New York State DOT, which is great. And of course, the other mega project out there is the Tappan Zee Bridge, and we're all kind of keeping an eye on that, and there are very specific things the town works with as far as that construction process relating to sewers and drainage along River Road and so on. But more globally, the impact on the town and the ways of deriving increased economic benefit from the traffic on the thruway without getting saddled with negatives that come from that, whether it's the pollution or the traffic jams or so on. So we need to keep an eye on that and work with that. Continue to apply for funding from the Tappan Zee Bridge funds for the Sparkill Creek flood mitigation and for other things that need to be done. We partnered on a grant by the Nyack Ambulance Corps, for example, to get support from the grants that are available from the bridge project to help, because they're the responders on the bridge from our side, among others. So we'll work on that, and we'll keep that focus on the Tappan Zee Bridge project. And lastly, I do want to say something about the election, because it was such a kind of a nail-biter cliffhanger, and I think it was a lesson learned for all of us. I just want to share a thought or two. Clearly very hotly contested. It was a very tight result. And one thing we can be absolutely sure of is there's no doubt that in Orangetown, everyone's vote truly matters. And that each of us literally has the power to determine the outcome of an election. To those who voted for me, I truly thank you for your support and your vote of confidence. For those who voted for my opponent, I respect your choice. And I will work hard over the next 2 years to do you proud. I do commend Walter Wedgie for taking the plunge and running for public office. It was only 2 years ago that I made the same decision, and I know what a tough road it is to put yourself in the public eye and ask your fellow citizens to entrust you with the responsibility to lead. So commendations are due. My take-home lesson is that Orangetown voters want their elected officials to be problem solvers and not partisans. And in my second term as supervisor, I'll continue to promote nonpartisan political cooperation and honest debates around our shared goals. The 5 that I listed are the basic principles. My door is always open. And with those thoughts about the tone that we'll have going forward through the year, I happily pass the podium to members of the town board, and particularly the newly re-elected ones, Tom Diviny and Dennis Troy, to be sworn in along with, I don't want to forget someone, along with Charlie Madigan, Jim Dean, Superintendent of Highways, Bob Simon, Receiver of Taxes, and Judge Richard Finning. And to the extent they want to say a word or two, I will be listening. Thank you very, very much.
Next, we have the senior member of the town board, Dennis Troy.
Do you want to be sworn in here?
I have my wife and some of the girls in my life. Come on, girls. Yeah.
How do you want to do this?
Yeah, this is my mother-in-law's Bible from Ireland. Here, girls, put your hand on here. Okay?
Everybody's hand on the Bible.
Everybody's hand on the Bible. Okay. That's
Ready?
Yeah, that's great.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Town Councilman for the Town of Orangetown,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Town Councilman of the Town of Orangetown.
so help me God.
So help me God. Judge, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Girls?
Good job. Good job.
Hey, Miles, let me get my kiss.
Dennis.
Smile. Oh, jeez. Do you want me to kneel down? I didn't know you were going to do it that way. All right. First of all, I want to thank my family for being here, and particularly my granddaughters coming out here on a very cold night. And the granddaughters who didn't come out, they're disowned. But you guys are in, right? See, that's great, and you have a granddaughter. Laugh at stupid jokes, too. That's great. It's been my privilege to be a town councilman here for 14 years. I've enjoyed it 95% of the time. The other 5% of the time, it's tough. I always kid around and say that's why they pay us the big bucks here, you know, to really serve the people of the town. I want to congratulate the supervisor, Andy Stewart, and on behalf of the whole town board, we will work with Andy over the next 2 years in serving the people of the town. I also want to thank the employees of the town for all that they do. And we always thank the highway department because right now it's snow and ice and everything else. They do the best job. There's no doubt in my mind who is the best highway department. But we also have the best police department, sewer department, building department, legal department, finance, clerical. What happens is I always used to do this all the time. I would thank everybody except for my mother, and my mother would be sticking pins in the Dennis Troy doll. So, again, thank you very much. Andy mentioned the 5 points. I agree on all the 5 points. And the other, many other points that he mentioned, I agree with most of those. So we'll be working together. Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Councilman Thomas Diviny. You have your Bible?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Coming up?
Yeah.
Everybody want to hold it? Everybody's hand. He wants to talk. Left hand on, right, raise your right. Ready? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the office of the Town Councilman for the Town of Orangetown,
the office of Town Councilman for the Town of Orangetown.
so help me God.
So help me God. Thanks a lot,
Well
Pat.
done.
Thank you, Pat.
Congratulations. Whose birthday was it?
Daddy's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Take a picture? I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's brutal weather, and it's great to see so many familiar faces out here supporting us tonight. Tonight is a celebration of the 6 months that we just spent running for re-election, and there's a lot of people that I need to thank. My wife, Joy, who supports me in all my endeavors. You're out a lot, and we've got 2 young kids, and she supported me, and she continues to support me, and I thank you for that. I've got my beautiful daughter, Addison, who who just turned 6 last week, and last time when I was up here, she was just 1.5 years, and Finn was actually born during the last election. He was 2 weeks old when I was elected, so time does go fast. I'd like to thank Denis. Denis and I've known Denis since I was 16. I was a lifeguard. He was a slow swimmer. We work well together. He loses it when I'm saying, I lose it when he's saying, so it's good for us. You got Jimmy Dean. Jimmy Dean's no one's running against Jimmy Dean, and he's out there putting up his own signs. I mean, what can you say about Jimmy Dean? You just have a great bunch of guys that we ran with, a great support team. My support team, Jen Dunn, Larry Regine, Danny Sullivan. Danny's great, you know. We were supposed to go golfing. He goes, no, you're gonna go to ShopRite today. I'll go golfing. You know, thanks, Dan. And Dan with the signs, you know, he said, watching me run across the Palisades was watching Frogger. So thank you, Danny, again for that. It's a great night. We have a lot to do. Everyone knows where I stand with Rockland Psychiatric Center. where we stand with the budget. The budget's, we're already starting on it. And like Dennis, I agree. The five principles that Andy stated tonight, we all agree that those are some of the most important things. There are other things that I think are important. I do believe that there is a prescription drug problem in this town, and that's why I supported interaction with the DA Drug Task Force, and I will continue to support that. I agree with Annie about our LUPA and about that the town should be in control of its zoning, not the federal government. And I believe that we have a lot of assets, such as the parks in this town, and that it's just driving around. It came to into my mind. I go to the parks and they're always filled with buses of people just busing into the town, using our resources, not paying for them. So today I drafted up legislation regarding resident requirements for the parks in Orangetown, and a whole list of items that I'll be introducing to the town board next week. Again, we have a lot to do. I thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's a great night, and we've got a lot to do, as I said, in 2014. Thank you.
Our town clerk, Charlotte Madigan.
This has been
The
with
gang
me
coming up?
since, yes. Charlotte and Rita. Jimmy? Billy? No. Okay. I'm very lucky to have Charlotte and Rita. And I think, Rita, you wanted to hold the Bible? Or Charlotte will hold the Bible?
Ready?
Okay.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Town Clerk for the Town of Orangetown.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Town Clerk of the Town of Orangetown.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to take a moment because I can see that the room is filled. It's getting warm in here, but we know that it's freezing outside. But I have to thank all the residents of the town of Orangetown. I have to thank you so much for your vote of confidence. I certainly do appreciate it. I am honored by being an elected official, and it is a pleasure to serve the people in the town of Orangetown. I think this is 18 years that I have been the town clerk, and prior to that, I was on the town. I was on the Board of Education. It is such a pleasure to have met so many people, so many residents in the town. I feel like I have made so many friends. I don't even know how one can be so lucky to serve such a fabulous group. The one group that I do miss are the children, because we did, as elected officials, get around a bit more with the DARE program, and I do miss that, and I would love to see something come back so that we can address the young people and be closer to them in the school system. If there is anything anybody needs, you know my office is open, and we love serving you. I have to thank my family, and particularly my husband, John. I think, did he sneak out? No. My husband, John, who really has supported me. And if you don't have good support at home, and you don't feel that when you give your time that you're guilty about it, it just doesn't, you don't do as well as you'd like to do. And I'd like to thank my children and my grandchildren. We have 9 now. We started with 1. We built to 9, and it's been a wonderful experience. I would like to also say, please, please have a very healthy and happy New Year, 2014. God bless you all. Thank you.
One of our favorites this time of year, our Superintendent of Highways, Jim Dean.
Thank you. Can we because I have a crowd. Can I get my other grandchildren to come up, please? Come on, guys, come on. And I'll explain later. No, Jamie's gonna hold the Bible. Hold it behind, yeah.
Ready? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and will faithfully discharge the office of Superintendent of Highways for the town of Orangetown.
and will faithfully discharge the office of the Superintendent of Highways for the town of
So
Orangetown.
help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I did want to just take a minute to say thank you to everybody, as everybody's doing here, especially for coming out tonight. And personally, for giving me the opportunity to continue as highway superintendent here. This is the beginning of my 9th term. I've been in the highway department for over 50 years. It's something that I really love, and I really do appreciate it, and it is an honor to be elected again. I don't kid myself. I know the reason I get elected is because we have an excellent department. The men and women in the Orangetown Highway Department are dedicated. They work hard every day. Whatever the weather conditions, whatever the circumstances, they're out there doing their job. And of course, that makes me look good, so thank you very much for them. I do want to thank the town board, because without a town board that's supportive, we don't get the budget, we can't do the work. Especially the last couple of years, it's been very difficult. Everybody knows we're squeezing every dollar we can. But the board has been supportive, and they've seen fit to stand behind the programs that we think are necessary, that are quality of life issues for the town, besides the safety issues with roads and weather conditions and the services that we provide. So I really wanted to thank them. And of course, my family, my wife Dottie couldn't be here today. She's had some physical issues, and so at least she tells me this, that Florida is much better for her. She's spending the winter in warm weather. But two of my daughters, Debbie and Cheryl, are here. And my youngest daughter, Michelle, is home taking care of a little guy who's 7 years old and has to get his work done so he can go to school. But the significance of having my grandchildren here is Dottie has been my support for the past 53 years. I wouldn't be able to continue to do the things that I do if it wasn't for her. She's always just encouraged me to do what makes me happy, and that's a great thing to have. But I have a family that lives here and does the same thing. Jamie held the Bible this time. This is the first year that Jamie had an opportunity to vote for me. She just turned 18. She's number 8 that's held the Bible. My wife did it first, and every election since then, I've been fortunate enough to know I have at least one extra vote because one of my grandchildren. I appreciate that, huh? And some of the people that were with her and some that weren't are coming in the future. The scary thing is I still have 5 more to go. It softens a little bit because the next time around I have 2 guys that are going to be 18 at the same time. So I don't know if we're going to be able to make it all the way through, but I certainly do appreciate everybody's support. We could add a little more scare to that. In December 28th, we were blessed with our first grandson, great-grandson. So I don't know if modern marvels of medical advancement will keep me here that long, but I do love what I do, and I do appreciate everybody's support. And I just hope that we're able to maintain the level of service and the safe roads that we believe that the people of Orangetown deserve and expect. Thank you very much.
Our receiver of taxes, Bob Simon.
Your Honor, my brother,
Oh, sure.
come up, he's gonna hold the Bible.
Okay, great.
Okay.
In the middle of the limelight.
Right.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the office of Receiver of Taxes for the Town of Orangetown.
and that I will faithfully discharge the office of Receiver of Taxes for the Town of Orangetown.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you. Thank you for coming out this evening. It's a bitter cold night, but I think tomorrow it's going to be a lot better. I think it's warming up to about 20 or 25, so I think we'll be in better shape. Thank you, Your Honor, for officiating. I remember the first time I came into office and was installed, it was the late Judge George Bergman, but thank you for also being here. And I welcome everyone here, and let me just say thank you also to my brother Frank and my sister-in-law Pat for being here, small as we are, but it's a pleasure. I'd like to thank the voters of Orangetown for your vote of confidence in once again giving me the opportunity to serve as Receiver of Taxes. It is an honor and a privilege to serve the people of this town. The position of Receiver is a sensitive one. It takes patience, understanding, and tact in dealing with the public. As many of you know, this will be my last term as Receiver. Come January 1st, 2018, my office will be consolidated into the town clerk's office, and it will be the duty of the town clerk to continue with the duties and services that I now provide. At the end of my term, I will have given 20 years of service, starting in the assessor's office and ending as Receiver. But until then, the Receiver's office will continue to uphold the highest standard which the residents of Orangetown are accustomed to. And I cannot help but think about all those that have served in the office of Receiver going back many, many, many years. In fact, my mother once told me she used to go to pay the taxes with her father down in Pearl River on Pearl Street upstairs above Bert's blacksmith shop. And that was in the early teens. And also to all those people that have given their time and their effort, especially my predecessor, the late Eileen Bonner, who was Receiver of Taxes for 38 years. They are all dedicated public servants who gave of their time to make this town a better place in which to live. I thank you all. I wish you all a very happy and healthy new year and have a safe drive home. Thank you very much.
Lastly, we have the senior member of the Orangetown Judiciary, Richard Finning. Choice of Bibles here.
Looks well worn.
You want to have somebody hold it?
I'll have my wife hold it.
Hi.
Why don't you stand over here and hold the Bible?
Ready? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the office of Town Justice for the Town of Orangetown.
and that I will faithfully discharge the office of Town Justice for the Town of Orangetown.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Sit and speak. Good news is I'm the last speaker. Bad news is I have a 5-hour speech on the early English common law prepared. Actually, Charlotte said if I gave that speech, there'd be no cake for me. And the only person more powerful than a man in black robes is a woman with a red scarf. So I'm going to heed what she has told me and just say thank you. I appreciate your returning me to the office of Town Justice, and I will do my very best to continue to fairly and firmly administer justice in the town of Orangetown. Thank you.
That completes our swearing-in process, and I thank all of the elected officials and others here for their excellent comments. we are very lucky to actually have Rabbi Daniel Pernick now with us. And if I could ask him to come up and talk to us a little bit in the form of a benediction on this important day for the town at the beginning of the year, that would be great. And then we'll move into the supervisor's appointments, a recognition of Josephine Pucci, our Olympian, and other matters for the town board, which will only take a few minutes. Thank you. Rabbi Pernick, thank you. Thanks for coming.
I'm reminded in seeing Monsignor O'Keefe here how a few years ago when we had the ceremony and I delivered the invocation and various other people came up and spoke, and I believe he was giving the benediction at the end, and he realized that he was the only one that flipped on the microphone, and we were actually able to hear. So he always has been and will continue to be an inspiration for me. The recent election for town supervisor was historically important, not only for the town of Orangetown, but really for all citizens, in that it reminded us of the importance of every single voter. It affirmed the power that every person has and how one person truly can make a positive difference in this world. Of course, we all know, regardless of whether we were with the party that won or the party that didn't, that had only one voter changed his or her mind, the election would have ended up in a tie. As we have come together tonight to swear in the leaders of Orangetown's government for their new term, we recall that the town seal proclaims Orangetown to be rich in history. That history was made by groups and by individuals. Our town is blessed with having had some of the great figures of American history pass through it since 1686. Though none of us is likely to occupy such a lofty place in our town's history as did George Washington, every action of our town officials, and indeed every act of our citizenry, has the potential to reflect positively or negatively on the entire town. Tonight we gather not as Republicans, Democrats, or as independents. Tonight we are not defined by what may divide us, but rather by what unites us. We are all members of this wonderful community. As we prepare to leave this place, may we strive to emphasize what we can accomplish working together for the common good and minimize our thoughts of personal and partisan success. For in that way, we will all help to write a positive future for the town of Orangetown. In that way, we will all live up to the words of our town seal as we contribute to the richness of our town's history. Amen. Thank you all for being here.
Two quick things. One, I actually did exactly what Dennis Troy says always happens, which you forget to truly recognize the people most important as you're kind of making your notes. I would just like my family to stand for a minute. Jonah, Talia, grandparents, Lenny, Susan, and Lucy, and Dick. Just stand up. Thank you for coming tonight, and I'm very proud of you. The next item on the agenda is called the supervisor's appointments. There are very, very few positions in town government, and fewer still that are actually paid. The town super can simply appoint as part of a little team to work together. And the three positions are the finance director, the deputy supervisor, which is a volunteer position, I'll describe it in a second, and the special assistant position. So if I could just have Jeff Bensick stand up, Alan Riff stand up, and I thought I saw Suzanne, there she is, Suzanne Barclay. Jeff is our finance director. He's done a wonderful job. He came on new after Charlie Richardson moved north and took a different job after many years of service to the town. And he's been an enormous help, bringing fresh eyes to the budget and a strong kind of code of ethics around the importance of proper audited bookkeeping, which the town has always done, but this is exactly what you need a finance director to do, providing objective information and always looking to help the town board and myself figure out how to balance the budget. Alan Riff has been a wonderful person to have, to talk with, and to kind of keep an eye on me with his long-standing involvement with the community in Tapan, and as the deputy supervisor, which is a volunteer position, but nonetheless important. And in fact, if I were to, have a heart attack and keel over right now, and there was an important contract to be signed, Alan has the power to do that, among a couple other things that a deputy supervisor can do. So thank you, Alan, for your service, and I would like to have you continue with that. And that same goes for Suzanne Barclay, really a wonderful asset to the town. We're very lucky to have her on a part-time basis, and I thank her for helping out land use issues, responding to constituents looking for help, in helping people figure out how to get the most out of town government. Suzanne's an expert in that, and it's great having you. So those are my 3 supervisors' appointments. Please give these good folks a hand. And I'd like to finish up before I go and take my seat back here by inviting the Pucci family to please join me here. And Victor Pucci is here with his wife Ursula and his daughter Victoria. I hope I got those names right. Did I get it? Good. And they're all representing a truly heroic individual, which is Josephine Pucci, who is playing for the U.S. Olympic hockey team in Sochi, and she's practicing right now, I'm sure, intensively, and they're getting ready to take on a couple of teams. And if you would just say a word or two about how Josephine's doing, and we will, I think, collectively give her every possible best wish for success in representing both Orangetown and the United States of America.
Thank you. Well, yes, it's an honor to be here representing Josephine, my wife Ursula, and my daughter Victoria. We have another daughter, Samantha, who's off at college. And Josephine is currently up in Bedford, Massachusetts. They were recently centralized about 6 months ago, and there's a group of about 21 girls now that are centrally living in that area, and they train and practice every day for the upcoming Olympics in Sochi, Russia. And we're thrilled to be able to be going, the Pucci family, all 5 of us, and we're looking forward to it. And I just want to say that town of Orangetown has been tremendous, and I encourage all you youngsters out there, and I look around this room and I see coaches, I see parents, I see grandparents, I see grandchildren. Follow your dream, find your passion, and go for it. We have a lot of coaches in this room. They're sitting up on the board, they're in the audience, and you've all, like they say, it takes a village. You're all responsible for the success in this town of our children, our grandchildren, and everyone else, because dreams do come true. And I could tell you that my daughter had an opportunity to play sports at a young age. She got a great education at St. Margaret's. Monsignor knows that very well. And she got a great opportunity from this wonderful town. We moved up here in 1990, and it's the best thing we ever did. And I thank you all for that opportunity. It's a great town we live in. And I thank my family.
This is one of our certificates. It's just a way of representing the spirit of the town, and it's presented to Josephine Pucci with pride and gratitude for her accomplishments and continued success, given the 7th day of January 2014. If you could accept that and bring it to Josephine with all our best wishes. I think it's February 7th that they're playing Finland. Is that right? And moving on from there. So everybody be tuned to your TVs and making sure we give Josephine a good Orangetown support on February 7th, right?
Yes, February 7th.
Thanks so much for coming out. It's February 8th. We have a couple of matters before the town board. Do you guys want to just launch right through this stuff and get it done, or do you want to have a recess and launch? Okay. Item number 1. This is the official undertaking for elected and appointed officials. to be filed with the county clerk's office. Move from Diviny, second from Troy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 2, designation of marriage officers, and they're listed on the agenda. It's all the elected officials, more or less. Move from Diviny, second from Troy. All in favor say aye. Number 5, the official newspaper. Our town designated as the official newspaper for the town of Orangetown. Move from Diviny, second from, we'll go with Valentine this time. All in favor say aye. Number 6, the additional newspaper, and these are for notices of public meetings, hearings, and so on, will be the Journal News, our daily. Move from Diviny, second over here from Tom Moore. All in favor say aye. The 7th is the banking depository, being J.P. Morgan Chase, First Niagara, and TD Bank. Move from Diviny, second from myself. All in favor say aye. 8th, the receiver of taxes banking depository, being the Sterling National Bank. Move from Diviny, second from Troy. All in favor say aye. Number 9, reappointing the Registrar of Vital Statistics, Charlie Madigan. Move from myself. Can I have a second? Second Diviny. All in favor say aye. Number 10, reappointing the Records Management Officer, also Charlie Madigan. Move from Diviny, second from myself. All in favor say aye. What happened to Charlie? All right, it's gone. Number 11 is the Records Access Officer. Again, Charlie Madigan. Move from myself, second from Diviny. All in favor say aye. Number 12 is the Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics, Teresa Pugh and Rose Majorano. Move from Diviny, second from myself. All in favor say aye. This is a small one from the Finance Department, amending the town's travel policy. Shifts around a little bit every year. Now it's 56 cents a mile for reimbursement for personal cars. Move from Diviny, second from myself. All in favor say aye. Number 14 is authorizing the Finance Office to pay utility bills prior to a town board audit because they do become due. We don't want to be late. Move from Diviny, second from myself. All in favor say aye. We do have an audit tonight. Our finance director is here with the paperwork. It's been emailed to everybody. It's a list of our expenditures which the town board approves. I have a motion from Troy to pay the bills. Do I have a second? Second from Moore. All in favor say aye. Thank you very much, Jeff. That was an easy one. Any comments about adjournment? We are preparing to adjourn, as we always do, town board meetings. We adjourn in memory of a town resident who's passed away. And it helps to have Denis with his extensive community experience for these kind of things.
Charles Bohan.
Charles Bohan. I'm not sure the microphone's picking you up.
Charles Bohan.
There you go.
And also Allison Dolan.
Charles Bohan and Allison Dolan will be remembered. Do you want to say anything about them? No. Please keep Mr. Bohan and Ms. Dolan in your thoughts as we close this meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Please stick around and socialize a little bit and make sure we don't have any leftover cookies. Thank you very much.